both sides of the aisles, both houses of Congress, shows some pretty fair conviction in the selling.
Members of Congress aren't just buying this summer, there's plenty of selling happening too.
The second most sold, but it's not showing up at all as far as being bought this year.
From some well-known names to smaller companies that might not be on your radar.
The most sold stock by a single member. I think it's right around the $3 million mark.
MarketBeat's Thomas Hughes talks through the 5 stocks members of Congress are selling most right now.
MarketBeat is tracking 17 trades from 11 members.
Why these 5 stocks have been on the chopping block for lawmakers. Let's dive in. Thomas, so great to have you back on the show in what is our first edition of MarketBeat in the mountains. I'm sure viewers can tell the scenery is a little different right now. I am not in our regular YouTube studio, working remotely from the mountains for the next week. So we're going to have a little change of scenery, but I think it's fun to have something a little bit different for the week. Well, Thomas, let's get right into the topic this week, and that is the 5 stocks that Congress is selling the most right now. Let's get to that first name on your list.
The first stock is Microsoft. It's market leading stock, but it is the most sold stock this year. We're tracking 34 trades by 17 members. Bipartisan activity. We have Congress members and representatives. So it's both sides of the aisles, both houses of Congress, which shows some pretty fair conviction in the selling. Amongst the names are many of the usual suspects that we see in congressional trading, all the regular, the big spenders, the big traders. And their activity spans the period from January through the end of the period towards June, kind of picks up later in the half, I think kind of coinciding with the market sell-off.
Yeah, this is going to be a common question with all of these stocks is even though this is the most sold stock with Congress right now, there has to be some members of Congress also buying it right now. What are we seeing as far as buying activity with this one? Is there just more selling than there is buying in Microsoft?
Well, no, that's actually a very good question. You're right. There is bipartisan activity, both sides of the house, also buyers and sellers. It just so happens that Microsoft is the most sold stock. It's also the most bought stock. On balance, Congress is buying more Microsoft than they're selling. So I would say ultimately, if you're looking to the government as a trigger for your buying Microsoft, the government is actually bullish on Microsoft.
Very interesting. I think it's a good conversation to have. It's good to track what lawmakers are doing, but you can't take it just at face value. It's good to look a little bit deeper and follow some of the moves that they might be making. With Microsoft in particular, is there any specific insider knowledge they might have in Washington that would lead them to want to buy or sell Microsoft? Or is this just one of those huge names that everyone is going to be buying or selling right now?
I can't really speak to the fact of what they might know as far as insider knowledge goes, but Microsoft is one of the leading stocks this year. As far as long-term positioning goes, you could argue that it's in a better position even than Nvidia with AI. Nvidia is a really big deal now with AI infrastructure and building up the industry, but Microsoft is going to be making money with AI long into the future, providing hyperscale services, but it's also the most prominent, the most prolific business services SAS company on the planet. So all of its AI prowess is going to be focused to all these businesses across industries, across verticals. So it's got a really long trajectory for revenue growth and revenue and earnings quality based on AI.
All right, so that's the most sold stock in Congress, also the most bought stock in Congress right now. What's the second most sold stock right now?
Well, the most sold stock is Google. I mean, not surprising given the selling at Microsoft. Google shares are also up pretty well, so we see some profit taking. MarketBeat is tracking 17 trades from 11 members. Many of the same names that were selling Microsoft. Again, we have bipartisan selling, so it's not one house or the other, but the pattern is a little bit different. Where Microsoft, they were selling throughout the quarter, kind of heavy towards the end. All of Google selling was at the end of the quarter or into the half, I should say, since April when the tariff fears sent the market down to its lows. So they've been selling Google on the rebound since April, which is kind of worrisome because we would rather see them buying the stock on the rebound. And regarding the buying of Google and Congress, they're not buying it. So Microsoft is the most sold, also the most bought. Google is the second most sold, but it's not showing up at all as far as being bought this year. So mostly just bearish downward pressure from Congress on Google shares. shares right now.
Now, a lot of this congressional movement on Google was done much earlier than when the earnings came out just this last week. So it doesn't seem like this would necessarily be in response to anything that came out in earnings for Google this week.
No, the earnings report I think was good. They beat on the top and bottom line. They provided a pretty favorable outlook. I think a lot of the selling in Congress is related to regulatory headwinds. Google's business is good right now, but it's facing regulatory hurdles in America and abroad. Potential breakup of the company, so that would be a real big impact on revenue and quality going forwards. And it's possible that we have Congress members getting out of this stock for those reasons.
It might be a sign to look for something a little bit bigger than Google. If you are looking for that, we have a list of stocks that could be just that. It's a free premium report just for our YouTube viewers on 7 stocks that could be bigger than Tesla, Nvidia, and Google. You can scan the QR code right now or click the link we have for you in the description of this video to get that list for free right now on marketbeat.com and see which companies might actually be bigger than Google someday. All right, Thomas, let's move on to that third company on your list of the stocks that members of Congress are selling the most right now.
The third stock is one that I really haven't heard very much of, don't know very well, but it's Baldwin Insurance. This stock popped up on our radar for congressional trading earlier in the year because it is not the most sold stock, but it's the most sold by a single member. Only one member of Congress has sold this stock, but they sold in such sufficient quantity that it is the third most sold stock for the year. It's possible this company has been facing some balance sheet issues and some debt issues. The stock price did correct pretty severely the first part of the year, probably because of that. Assuming that this member bought the stock last year or the year before last, profits are still probably running in the 50 to 100% range. So, yes, he sold. There are some headwinds and hurdles, but again, wouldn't read too much into this trade without having some other members, following up on the buying or selling side.
Yeah, this company is unique. Again, not something we've talked about a lot, and it doesn't seem to have a direct connection to anything a member of Congress might be dealing with specifically. It seems like this is just a one person kind of offshoot, but it's such a significant amount of money. Again, what's the dollar value on this trade?
If I remember correctly, it's right around the $3 million mark.
Yeah, that is definitely significant and why it makes this list. So, if it's on your radar, we'd love to hear your thoughts about this company. It's one that we have not covered much, but it did happen to make this list today. Well, let's move on to that fourth company, the fourth stock that members of Congress are selling the most right now.
Lam Research. Lam Research is a US based semiconductor play, but it's being sold by both sides of the house. We've got 13 trades by 9 members. Sales running from January to May. Their selling does align with the broad market sell off earlier in the year. A lot of that selling centered in April and May period. I think part of the reason is just headwinds for the business. It's well positioned as a U.S. semiconductor company, but it's a refurbisher. It's not really making new product, so its growth is tending to slow. And analyst sentiment is kind of cooling as well, which presents some headwinds for the stock price.
This stock has seen a pretty volatile chart, or at least a lot of pretty quick growth. Let's dive into that chart a little bit.
Yeah, so it's been trending higher for the last couple of years. We've definitely seen a pretty fair amount of increase since 2020. We're looking at about 350% gain. So certainly some profits to be taken. The activity this year is rebounding from the April lows. But again, we've got Congress members selling into this rally. Also, the analyst sentiment is cooling. So I think that the gains could be capped unless another catalyst emerges.
Let's talk a little bit more about what this company is in case viewers might be interested and why might members of Congress be interested in this area of AI specifically.
The primary reason would be its domestic positioning. It's a domestic semiconductor company, and right now the focus in that industry and for the government in particular is to onshore our production, onshore our capacity. So any company associated with domestic semiconductor production would be of interest. Not necessarily a great investment, but definitely of interest.
And last question on this one, Lam Research is it's making the list of top companies that members of Congress are selling right now. Is there any buy action happening from Congress as well?
No, it is not showing up as a congressional buy at this time.
So that's something to say about this stock too. All right, Thomas, let's move on to the fifth stock on the list of companies that members of Congress are selling the most.
All right. So the fifth stock is Nvidia. It's really not surprising to see this stock on the list. The stock price is up, ridiculous amounts in the last couple of years. So we're certainly seeing Congress members selling into this rally, taking profits. But as with some of our other names, it's also a very highly bought stock. and is in fact the second most bought stock this year. I'm not expecting to see its share price suffer too much because of Congress members selling.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of profit taking happening with Nvidia right now, not just in Congress, but just in general, because it keeps reaching those new all time highs. Curious with this one as well. Is it also making that buy list? Are people in Congress adding to their Nvidia position even as the stock reaches these new high levels?
Oh yeah. On a to date basis, Nvidia is the second most bought stock by Congress, so there certainly is a bullish tailwind. But like you were saying, with people taking profits, that's a big part of the story with this stock price over the last 2 years. That volatility, that trading range is just the market consolidating, the early investors selling, taking profits, and new investors buying those dips and positioning for the next rally, which I think is what we're seeing now. Is that next rally? I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we could see Nvidia stock price double again.
You've always been very bullish on Nvidia, and like many analysts, are expecting this stock to grow even more in the future. So will be exciting to see. I wanted to dive a little bit more into why you might, as an investor, want to follow what moves members of Congress are making, whether it is buying or selling. Why do we do these videos? Why do we have these tools on MarketBeat to track this? What value could there be for investors?
Well, they are an influential group of investors. You have to assume that they have some amount of insider knowledge. So it's important to track what they're doing, if not as individuals, then as a group, because it can give you some insights. But with any data point, you can't just take any one data point and say, hey, this is why I'm going to buy this stock. You need to look at the trends, compare them with other stocks. For example, our names today, Microsoft and Google, one stock is being sold, but also being bought. The other stock is being sold, but not being bought. So I think out of those two, if you're going to use Congress as a guide, Microsoft would be a buy and Google would not be.
Yeah, there's so many factors to consider when you're looking into stocks. And I think it's important to note too with this list today, just because these are the 5 stocks that members of Congress are selling most, doesn't necessarily mean they're an instant drop from your own portfolio. I think we've done other videos on this channel talking about these stocks might be good to drop right now. What do you think about the 5 names on this list, Thomas? Are any of these ones that you would recommend? Maybe now is the time to get out.
I mean, from what I'm seeing, nothing is striking me as a reason to get out of these stocks immediately. Certainly, some are in better positions than others. Google has some headwinds and some risks, but ultimately, they all have fairly solid fundamentals. It's just a matter of time for their markets to come back into alignment with the future outlook and get the stock price rallies back into gear.
And I think we'll wrap up the conversation because we had so many different AI related picks on this list today. What are we seeing so far in this earnings season, and what do you expect to see with any of these companies related to AI this earnings season?
AI is still driving earnings growth, revenue growth pretty strongly. The infrastructure stocks are still doing very, very well. But what I've started seeing is our names like ServiceNow, which are into the agentic AI and applying AI models, AI applications, are starting to also see the big boom in spending, the big boom in revenue. So what I'm seeing is the second wave of AI is starting to gain traction. It's what we've been waiting for the last 18 months. Is the infrastructure boom happened? Now it's going to be the second wave of the application wave. It's supposed to be a very strong wave, stronger than infrastructure. I think that the stock market rally that began here in the second half of the year could be very strong. Take the entire broad market up very high, and then continue rallying strongly next year.
Oh, very good. Thomas, thank you so much for your time with this list today and sharing a little bit more of the congressional activity happening right now. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you like following what members of Congress are doing? Are there any insights to be gained, or is it just good information to know? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks again for watching, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed Market Beat in the mountains. We're going to be out here all week in this new location, so we hope you enjoy the little change of scenery for the videos. One programming note: if you are a regular watcher of Market Beat Mondays, we will not be doing Market Beat Monday live stream this week, simply because this remote location doesn't quite work for the tech we need for the live stream to work. So I'm sorry we're going to miss this week. We will see you again next week, Monday, for our Market Beat Monday, going over some different stock ideas too. Thanks again for everyone who follows our content. We love having you here at Market Beat. And as always, happy investing.